Welcome to today's webinar session. My name is Gabrielle, and I'm your Teamhood coach. I'm very excited to have you here joining me today as we dive into an exciting topic for engineering companies and other organizations that manage long-term complex projects. But first, let's define what we mean by a long-term project. These are the initiatives that typically last months, requiring a lot of planning and collaboration across multiple teams. Managing these projects involves working with large amounts of data, which is often spread out across various project management tools and communication channels. So needless to say, managing such long-term projects comes with its own challenges. So when working on these projects, you may bump into a lack of visibility and control over project progress, stress that comes with delivering projects within a specific timeline and within budget, difficulties in collaborating with different team members, as well as inefficiencies of relying heavily on synchronous communication. And this is where Teamhood comes as a solution. So with Teamhood, you can achieve complete project visibility and control, as well as easy management of a project through customizable and filtered views and other views that we offer on Teamhood, which is Gantt charts, Kanban boards, and list views. Also, Teamhood enhances collaboration by reducing the need for constant synchronous communication. So in today's session, I will walk you through two scenarios with different long-term project management. So the first scenario that I will walk you through is when a project manager has a dedicated functional team assigned for the project work. The second scenario that I will walk you through is when a project manager shares resources with other project managers. This, of course, creates additional complexity in project management. But before we get started, don't forget that at the end of our session, I will save some time for a quick Q&A. So if there is anything that you would like to ask me, please feel free to leave all of your questions in the Q&A box below. And after the presentation, I will save some time to go through these questions. Now, let's go ahead and get you those two scenarios that I prepared for us to go through today. Now we will start with the first scenario is when you are managing a long-term project with a dedicated functional team, meaning that you have architects, for example, engineers, and a compliance team working with you together on different projects. We will use the case of ABC engineers, and they will be working on multiple different building plans. To manage this type of project effectively, we will need a clear way to structure our project data. And now I will go ahead and start sharing my screen just to show you how you can structure your project data using Teamhood. I hope that you can see my screen now. And I hope a graph doesn't look too confusing, so I will walk you through it right now. What you can see from this graph is that we would recommend structuring such projects, creating separate workspaces for different project managers. So in this case, we can see that ABC engineers, we have Gabrielle's project created as a separate workspace. Now, Gabrielle, in this case, she's managing a couple of projects. In this case, a couple of building plans, building plan A, building plan B. And then she has added multiple of different reports to her workspace. So in this case, managing such type of projects, long-term projects, when you have a dedicated functional team, I would recommend that you add almost all of the different reports available on Teamhood to your project manager's workspace. Now let's get to the building plan or the project plan and see how it looks on Teamhood. So I'll open the building plan board right here. So what do we see right now here? So you can see different project phases set up as rows. So we see concept design, structural analysis, and final approval as separate rows, meaning different project phases. You can add as many rows as you like by simply clicking on this Add Row button here. What else do you see in this project plan is work packages. So these are simply tasks that you have to complete in order to finish different project phases and at the end, your project. Now in this column here, you have assignees, meaning different people that have been assigned to do these tasks. Then schedule and status, so if you are done or not done, or you are in progress with different tasks. Now you see this project plan or the building plan here. You see how it's quite big, right? So what are the challenges that could come to the functional teams that are involved and the project manager? So from the functional teams perspective, maybe it's a little challenging to see what specific items they have to do themselves. And with regards to project managers, or in this case, Gabrielle, myself, I am a project manager in this case. I have to deliver projects within a specific timeline and within budget. So maybe when I'm working on multiple of such building plans, maybe it's a little bit confusing. As well as this, I have to manage the workloads of different functional teams involved. We don't want to burn our teammates out. So this is our responsibility. How can we do this using Teamhood? So coming back to the functional teams and the challenges that they face, perhaps you can start using the filtering functionality on Teamhood, which you can find right here, the filtering functionality, and create custom views for different teams. So in this case, I have an example of a Gantt chart for the engineering team. You can see data filter out, and you can see only items or tasks that have been assigned to the engineering team. So maybe then they go to Teamhood, they can directly go to this specific view. They don't have to go to the general building plan. And with regards to project managers, or in this case, Gabrielle, maybe she could also use this filtering functionality herself, and she could, for example, create a view for herself, and so that she is able to see overdue items right away, because she wants to focus on completing her projects on time. As well as this, maybe she wants to see suspended tasks right away. So just so she's able to see what happens with these tasks, why they have been suspended. Another solution for Gabrielle as a project manager could be, maybe she wants to see the progress that the team has made in all of the different project phases. So what she could do, she could collapse all of the rows. As you can see what I did here, I've collapsed all of the rows, different project phases. And now I see that I'm fully complete with the concept design phase, but I'm only 1/3 done with the structure analysis. Final approvals haven't been started, so I'm still to work on this phase of the project. As well as this, she could use different reporting options that are available on Teamhood to help her. So one of the reports that is available on Teamhood is a timeline report, as you can see here. And now here on my screen, you see the two building plans that Gabrielle is working on. So if I, for example, here, if I collapse this specific row, now I see that Gabrielle, she's 42% under this specific project. And with regards to a building plan B, we haven't started this project yet, right? We can also collapse this row here, and we see that we haven't started it. Portfolio view would also be helpful to Gabrielle, so you can see the status, so meaning if we are on track with a project, we have start and finish dates of a project, hourly limit, estimations, meaning how long it will take to complete the specific project, track time, budget, SPI and EV, and the progress of a project. So earlier I mentioned that we don't want to burn out our functional teams. So we could use the workload report to manage the workload of different team members. So in this case, let's have a look at myself, I am here. Let's have a look at our architects. So the architects are currently working on this item here, optimize material usage for cost efficiency. So you can see that they are doing 8 hours of work every day, which is fine, manageable. Now, if we give only 4 days to complete this specific item, you can see the Teamhood automatically highlights this item, and that the architects will be overworking themselves, and we should still give the 5 days to complete the specific item. As well as this, we could also use other reports that are available on Teamhood: time and cost, profitability, a list, and a dashboard report. So this would be it with the first scenario that I wanted to showcase, when a project manager has a dedicated functional team, in this case, engineers, the compliance team, and our architects working and helping with the project work. Now we will get to the second scenario, where we will see how to manage long-term projects when you don't have a functional team dedicated for your work, meaning you will be sharing resources, functional team members, with other project managers. Let me open another workspace for you. I hope you can see it well. Maybe this is better now. I give you a minute to have a look at the graph. Yeah, so I will explain you now the data structure, how I would recommend to structure your project data using Teamhood when you're working with such long-term projects, but you don't have a functional team dedicated for your work. So in this case, I'd recommend every project manager have a separate workspace. So you can see here different workspaces, and we're managing different projects. So in this case, we have building plan A that Gabrielle is managing, and the relevant reporting that you can see here. So this will be our first persona type, the project managers, and their main points of interest will be to assign responsible people to complete specific items, of course, to complete projects within a specific timeline and a budget, and to keep an eye on profitability of a project. Now, if we see the second persona, the functional team members and team leaders, we will have a separate workspace for these. So in this case, we will have architects, engineers, and a compliance team. So what you will see later is that we will have one row for the backlog and multiple other rows for different priority levels of items. And then the relevant reporting that I will go through later on. Now, their main points of interest will be to, of course, receive tasks from various project managers, to schedule and deliver items on time, manage the workload of their team members, and of course, give constant updates and feedback for our project managers, in this case, Gabrielle. What's important here is that we will be using our feature, which is available on Teamhood, the synchronized copy feature. I will show you and illustrate how it works on Teamhood. Now let's go to the building plan A. We will see how it looks. So let's open the building plan A. What you can see here is that the building plan looks pretty similar as the one before it. We see different rows, different project phases. It looks almost identical. However, it has a little less detail than the one before it. So in this case, perhaps Gabrielle, she could manage even more building plan projects than before. So maybe something like an overview, just so she keeps an eye on all of the different projects that she's working on, would be helpful. So we have this functionality in Teamhood, the overview right here that you can see. I'll quickly walk you through what you can see in the overview. So here you can see that you can add a description of a project. On the right, you have board properties, meaning that you have different statuses of a project, start and due dates, boards totals, estimations, track time, budget of a project. Now, if you go to the left, you have item progress graph, which is currently empty, but when you start working on it, you will see how many new items, in progress items, completed items you have every week, because you can see for the x-axis week has been chosen. Now at the bottom here, you have all of the different milestones of this project. So currently we only have one to close this project. And we have all of the different files that have been added to this project board at the bottom here. Now, if we go to the other workspace, as I said, the second persona's workspace, the functional team workspace, let's go ahead and open that one. I hope you can see it. Now, here is on our workspace. So in this case, we have separate boards. You can see here we have engineering teams and architect teams boards. And here we're using a Kanban board. So that it's very visible whenever functional team members start working on specific items, they can drag the task or the item to another column and automatically the status changes. And once you finish, then they can drag it to complete it. We have multiple rows. So one is for the backlog and other two is for the priority levels. We have a high priority row and a medium priority row for less prioritized items. Now, if we go back to the building plan A, to the project manager's workspace, I will illustrate how synchronized copies work on Teamhood. So what you can see here, let's take one example. Let's open one of the items, say this one, conduct structural integrity simulations. You can see at the bottom here that a synchronized copy has been created. So you can see the copy has been sent to the functional teams workspace, engineering teams board, and to the backlog row. So what happens here, that this item stays here in the project manager's workspace and the specific board, but it also gets created in the engineering teams board right here in the backlog. So now it will be the responsibility of the engineering team's leader to manage the priority levels. Say that this is a high priority item, we drag it to the high priority row. Now we assign a user, say this task will get completed by Andrew. Then Andrew starts working with this specific item here. We drag it to in progress. And once it's finished, we drag it to this column here, completed. Now, if we go back to the project manager's workspace, you can see that the status has changed to done and the progress as well. It's fully completed. So needless to say, this of course eliminates the need for constant communication to the engineering team's team leader to get updates how far you are into the progress of the different tasks that have been sent to complete to the functional teams, and this helps a lot the project manager and as well as the functional team members. Now, in terms of reporting, so for the project manager, as you can see here, timeline, portfolio view, and profitability reports has been added. We already I showed you already how they work. Now let's go to the engineering team's workspace, and then we'll show you what type of reports are important to be added to their workspaces. So as I said earlier, it's important that the functional team leader manages the workload of the teammates, because it won't be the responsibility of a project manager to manage the workload of the team. So something like the workload report could be added and used by the team leader, as well as agility metrics. You can see here. Now, what's important, what I would like to emphasize is that something like items aging in progress, you want to keep an eye on that, because you always want to be progressive with your project work. So if items are aging, you want to focus on that and keep moving with all of the different items. As well as this, keep an eye on items completed on time graph right here. Currently it's empty because we haven't started working with this project yet. But when you start working on it, you will see a nice trend, how many items get completed every month, the percentage rate of how many items get completed every month. Something like a dashboard report could be beneficial as well. So you will be able to see as many widgets as you like. You can see here, there is one where you see all overdue items in one place. And maybe you want to add time and cost report as well. This brings us to the end, what I wanted to showcase in terms of the second scenario, where a project manager shares resources with other project managers, meaning that you don't have an engineering team, the architects, and the compliance team working with your projects only. So you share them with other PMs in your team. So thank you so much for being here today. And before we wrap up completely, I'm very excited to hear your questions, and answer them for you. So let me open the Q&A box now. I'll stop sharing for a bit. I'll open the Q&A box now. And I see one question from John. John is asking, can I set up which properties to synchronize? So thank you, John, for your question. And I'm happy to answer this one. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen again. I hope you can see it. So what you could do, John, you could go to the project manager's workspace, three dots, action menu, workspace settings, go to the item fields, and you can configure sync copy fields, meaning you can decide which fields get synchronized and which fields get skipped. One important note here is if you like to synchronize custom fields as well, you can go ahead and do so, but please, the custom fields have to match in both workspaces. So keep that in mind. I didn't see any more questions. Let me go back to the Q&A box below. Yeah, I don't see any more questions. So thank you so much for being here today. I hope this has been helpful to you. And thank you so much. Take good care.